of James chapter 1, verse 19. And well, we could do 19, verse 19 through 21. It says this: "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to listen or to hear, and slow to speak." And slow, and it's pretty interesting how speaking and anger are listed side by side. Slow to speak and slow to anger, as though one produces the other. Verse 20 now says, "For the anger of man, a fleshly, carnal anger, not a righteous indignation that a Christian man might have from time to time, but the fleshly, carnal anger of man does not produce the righteousness or the holiness of God. Therefore, because of that truth, man's anger doesn't produce God's righteousness. Let us put away all filthiness and rampant wickedness and receive with meekness the implanted word which is able to save your souls." And I think of the way you started, it has, answering my question in terms of LeBron James in that particular tweet. What you used the old King James. What did you say? What was the term you used?
Filthy lucre.
Yeah, there it is. And so I just think of filthiness, filthy lucre, all of that. I think you nailed it. That's precisely what it is. And I think part of it is it's the kind of language, we could say the nature, the quality of language, filthy lucre, and that's what James chapter 1 gets to at the end of those three verses in verse 21. What it starts with in verse 19 is that it's not just the quality or the nature of the language, that it's filthy, that it's vile, that it's ignorant. But it starts in verse 19 by saying it's rash. It's too quick. It's too quick. You're quick to speak, but you should be quick to listen, quick to hear, quick to research, we might say, quick to study, quick to think, quick, all those kinds of things, and slow to speak. And I think in our world with celebrities, and then not just celebrities, because there was a time where there were celebrities, but a celebrity would have to go, they'd have to go to some journalist, they'd have to go to some kind of public event, where there were news anchors or news reporters and things like that, some kind of press event. But now, that was the whole thing with Trump, I appreciated a lot of his policies, but man, his Twitter account got him in trouble fairly often. And part of it was just the fact that, the president is gonna be making public addresses quite often, but and that's just historically, that's always been the case. But even more so when that president doesn't need to go to the press. He doesn't have to call a press conference or anything like that. He doesn't have to get the cameras ready. He doesn't have to put on the makeup. It could be 3 a.m. and President Trump's rolling over in bed. And he's like, an idea just popped in my head. I think I'll just shoot it out there to 40 million people on Twitter. And it's like, well, I wish you wouldn't. I prefer why don't you just sit on that? Just why don't you sleep on that one? Let it marinate a little bit. And so my whole point is just to say, it's always been biblically true that we should be quick to listen and slow to speak, because a quickness in speech lends towards a quickness. Quick speech lends towards quick anger, and yes. Man's quick, hot anger does not produce the righteousness of God. And so that's always been true biblically. But now with just monumental celebrities coupled with social media and an iPhone in their pocket and technology, it's just the temptation to speak immediately is before all of us. All of us, and that includes you and I. That includes Christians and pastors. I mean, as a pastor, there have been some times where there's a current event and I'm thinking, I want to do a podcast on this like we're doing right now, or where it's the Lord's Day is coming. Something happens on Saturday night. It's a global, or at least national event. And it's like, I got to say something on this. And I think all of us just feel, whether you're a pastor, whether you're a Christian, whether you're LeBron James, whoever you are, all of us feel the kind of urgency that used to only a news reporter would feel. You know what I mean? And now it's like all of us fancy ourselves to be kind of like private detectives and news reporters, and we all have to, what's your statement? Why haven't you made a statement? Why didn't you put a black square on your Facebook page? Why didn't you say something? And it's like, man, you know what? Like, I don't think the Bible really I don't think the Bible advocates for that. As a Christian, I feel like the Bible often says, why don't you not say something? Why don't you wait at least a few days? Let a week go by. Think about this. Pray about this. Let's see if some more things come to light before we cast, because ultimately our statements, it's our casting of judgment. And I think that's what's frustrating. And I see guys like LeBron casting a hypocritical and irresponsible judgment, because that's what it is. It's a judgment, and in some sense, it's a hit. It's putting out a hit on that police officer. But I have to look inward, and I think you'll agree with it. I have to look inward at the end of the day and think, man, like, I don't have millions of fans. I'm not nearly as popular as LeBron James, but I've got a few people who follow me. And how often am I tempted to make that statement about the big hot button issue that just happened less than 24 hours ago because I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I love the glory that comes from men rather than the glory that comes from God. And there is a sense of urgency. People are demanding an answer. They want to know, what does John MacArthur think about blank? You know, what is John Piper going to say about? But I think if we're wise, the Bible has answers to these things, and biblically faithful men will be able to find those answers. But sometimes they can't find them in 3 hours. And sometimes they don't fit into 140 characters on a tweet. And so, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's, the Bible does address this, and I'll get back to you in a week. And that's just going to have to be sufficient, because the Bible commands that I'm slow to speak and slow to anger. And the quick answers and quick statements and rash judgments, it produces the anger of man that doesn't lead towards the righteousness of God. Thanks for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, we hope that you'll take a moment and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can watch more content like this. Also, take a moment and give this video a like so that it can reach more people. And take a moment and click on the bell so that you'll be notified whenever we come out with new content. Thanks so much. God bless.